Good morning, and we are coming to you live from the National Museum of Singapore for this special program in conjunction with National Day. My name is Fabian, and I'll be the host for this session. So today, we actually have Grace, who is the director of the Yours Truly performance, and joining her, we also have Hidayah and Min Bao, who plays Hadi and Shan Shan respectively in the Yours Truly performance. For those of you who have not watched the performance, please take some time to watch this lovely, heartwarming story that you can watch on our Facebook Live page. This production was actually inspired by the museum's Home Truly special exhibition, which is open for everyone, and you can visit it, and it's located in the basement in the museum building. This production was also designed specially for the visually impaired, as we involve our volunteers, also known as care facilitators, to provide audio descriptions about the exhibition as they followed them through. If you have any questions for Grace, Hidayah, or Min Bao during today's session, please feel free to scan the QR code below, or you can click on the link to submit your questions on Pigeonhole. We will try to answer as many questions as possible towards the end of the session. So at this point, perhaps we could first ask Grace. Okay, Grace, who's the director of the performance. So maybe could you introduce yourself and your theatre company, please?
So hi everyone, thank you for tuning in on the Sunday morning. So my name is Grace. I am the founder of Access Path Productions and also the director for Yours Truly, the show that you've just seen. So it really begins with who is Access Path, and we are a disability-led theatre company, a creative organization. We professionalize and platform deaf and disabled talents in various aspects of performance making. So it's always a pleasure to work with the National Museum of Singapore, where we get to really bring in our talents and interact with the wonderful exhibitions that are happening. And I guess in this time working with the National Museum of Singapore, playwright Tong Kawai and myself got to immerse ourselves in the Home Truly exhibition. And I think this idea of belonging obviously popped up. And, how can we delve deeper about what it means to belong? And it's not so much of just feeling comfortable and safe and welcome, but I think we really thought that to belong requires a lot of ownership and commitment, and that's hard work. It's actually hard work. So the piece that we did, Yours Truly, featured Shan Shan, who is a migrant who has chose to commit herself to Singapore and make Singapore her home, and Hadi, who is a vision impaired young man who is also living his life to the fullest, exploring his passions and connecting with like-minded people. So it really is about this process of not just accepting diversity, tolerating diversity and difference, but and thinking that difference is just sitting side by side. But it's about how they interact, how they negotiate, how they take risks in order to make a home. So that's the inspiration for the whole piece.
That's great, Grace. But what are some of the messages that you want to share through this performance?
I think the ethos of Access Path is always about how every individual is unique, and with their different lived experiences and different cultural makeup, they bring something to the table that can educate the rest of us. So I really think that diversity is strength, and that is something that we want to show in the work that we do as well. When we platform, professional deaf and disabled talents, that their narratives, their lived experiences feeds into the creative process and will create something that perhaps some audience today have never actually seen before. So I guess the ethos of our company, it goes into the work. It's not a zero-sum game. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Grace. So touching on this topic of diversity, so actually joining us today, we have Hidayah, okay, who happens to be a visually impaired actor. So maybe Hidayah, could you just maybe do a short introduction about yourself?
Yep, sure, right. So my name is Ahi Dayat. I'm a vision impaired person, not a very important person. VIP, VIP. Okay, and I've been doing theatre work for a couple of years. Yep, and it is a pleasure working with Grace, Access Park Production, as well as the National Museum, as well as with Ming Pao as well. It's I would say a very a very interesting experience as because I'm able to develop myself, build myself as a performer, as well as learning the craft on the go as well. Yeah.
So is this your first time performing? Like how long have you been performing?
This is actually my second performance. I performed for the What If and one Peer Pleasure Youth Theatre Festival last year. The director was Ching Hong.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how has it been like, the experience of being a visually impaired actor so far? How has it been like for you in learning this craft?
I have to say there is a lot of challenges itself, especially like body gestures, as well as, things, the aesthetic things that make it work, that is part of theatre that make it work. And to really visualize it, to really visualize it as well as to manifest it, it is a challenge by itself. Especially it's just if someone were to just someone be a co-star or a director to just give me verbal direction, it may take me some time to really understand it, manifest it, and and do it the way that is comfortable for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think some people out there who might be curious, to learn, like, how do you actually learn your lines? I mean, most actors, there would be a script, right?
Yes.
And people would read and write
Correct.
accordingly.
Correct.
So, for you as a visually impaired actor, so how do you go about overcoming this? So that you can memorize your lines. All productions, you need to memorize your lines, right?
Yes, definitely. So for me, there's actually a few ways for me to memorize my lines. Number one is that I will always ask for a digital copy, and I will read it through. I will use my laptop or mobile phone, using a screen reader.
Okay.
So what this thing does is that it actually is a text-to-speech technology. And it will read to me the text on the screen, and at the same time, while rehearsing, I will sometimes either get ahead of myself and I say the line too fast, and my Min Pao or my co-star will actually give me heads up to actually wait for the cue word itself. So that's how I actually memorize my lines.
Oh, great. Also, technology has really helped to improve your lives in that case, to help you to learn your craft.
Correct.
So, in order to prepare for this role to play Hadi,
Yeah.
right? So what are some of your memorable experience as you went through the Home Truly exhibition? Do you rely on any of the content, or did any of the memories or whatever that we showcase struck you, that inspired you to develop your character?
I would say the places that we went to, most of them really gave me the inspiration for me to develop my character, especially during the first stop that we went to, which is to celebrate the National Day. I still remember my Primary 5 experience where we were invited to go for the National Day preview at the stadium, and it was late at night. Together with my whole classmates, we went to, and the fireworks, the parade itself is very grand. And I can still remember until now that, I can still remember the experience until now. It's an unforgettable memory. And at the same time, for the I would say, was it the hawker center, Min Pao? Yeah. So that part really remind me the closeness, of the Singapore spirits, where we have that kampung spirit, the togetherness, eating out at the hawker center and all that. And of course, the last portion where, braving through the storms. I can still remember last year where the frontliners really, they sacrifice. I wouldn't say sacrifice. Sacrifice sounds like a very, very, very hard word. They give it their all. They give it all, for our COVID-19 patient, and I really respect that. Salute that to them.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Hidayah. So I think the exhibition really did help you to develop your character quite a fair bit.
Yes.
Inspire you as you did your performance. So maybe now we could turn to Min Tao. Yeah. So do you have? Maybe you could introduce yourself first. Yeah.
I'm Ming Bao. I'm a freelancer. I do performance and I teach.
Yeah, so maybe could you share a bit more about your experience working with Hidayah,
Working
who
with
is a
Hidayah.
who's a a visually impaired actor. How has that experience been for you?
Actually, I don't think working with Hidayat has much difference with working with any other people, because whatever we can do, he can do. I think the only huge difference is all the visual cue comes from me, and then I need to create sound cue for Hidayat to know when he can talk. But other than that, it's a quite smooth journey for me actually. Yeah. And in fact, when I see Hidayat trying his best, I admire him sometimes, because I feel that being on stage is always very vulnerable and insecure. And for Hidayat, not only because he is visually impaired, it's also because he has not much experience in being an actor. So, but I don't see all this as an obstacle for him. He just do his best, and then do his best in his own ability or capacity.
Yeah.
So I think it require a lot of trust and courage, and also letting go of ego to do that. So yeah, Hidayat, well done.
Oh, great. So would you say that you learned a lot, like working with Hidayah?
Yeah.
Like about.
It actually a reflection of myself as well.
Wow, great.
Yeah, to trust people, to really just go lah. Don't think too much lah. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I think I think that's the reason why all of us delved and jumped into the arts, right? That this process is always a lot of learning and unexpected learning. There is no like syllabus for you to follow and say by 1 year in the arts you're gonna learn this, by 2 years in the arts. It's the people that you meet, the knowledge and the wisdom that's being transferred. So I learn every time I work with Min Pao and Hidayah. They teach me things, and it's just this sharing of this is the story that we want to tell about what it means to build a home. You don't just show up and the home magically appears for you. You need to build it, right? And in a way, three of us are now one unit with Kawai as well, realizing Kawai's playwriting vision. So how can we all bring what we have to the table? What are the obstacles? What are the barriers? And Access Path, we come from the social model of disability. So we don't look at impairment. We don't look at what people cannot do, because that's not productive anyway, right? Or constructive. We work at, what are the barriers in place? And we work together to remove those barriers. Yeah, so if it's visual cues, then we have a script that you might realize it's a little bit more visually and poetically written. To not just cue our actors, but also for an audience that might be vision impaired. Yeah, so a lot of thought is put into this entire process, from the rehearsal, the writing, the rehearsal, the staging, right? Just to make sure that the process is as equitable and accessible to everybody, including the audience.
Talking about that, I need
Yes.
to add something. Actually, this is my first full English show.
Yeah,
because I'm not so fluent in English. Like I feel so heartwarming when Grace said, she dared to ask me to do this job. I don't even think of one day I can go on stage and then speak in full although it's broken English, but I mean, they keep encouraging me, say that it's okay to speak not so perfect English. This is what we want. We want to see diversity and different language to be spoken. So it really 让我激励我。
It inspires you.
Yeah. I feel so touched about it. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Fabian.
Yeah,
Thank you
lots
for
of
making this
gratitude
happen.
flowing here.
Yes, and that's what Singapore should be,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it
Singapore
is.
2021, right? It's about appreciating all the differences and not just appreciating, platforming them, showcasing them, championing them, that please bring your diversity and difference and make this place a more vibrant place.
Yeah, I think touching on this topic of, inclusivity and diversity, I think that's why we at the museum, that's why we also partnered with Grace's company, Access Path, to do this production, because it is also in line with the museum's general direction that we also want the museum to be a place that is accessible and inclusive for everyone. So for all those who are interested, even if you can come down to the exhibition, you can actually go to the Home Truly exhibition. We actually have these strips on the ground that's actually meant to help the visually impaired to navigate their way through the exhibition. So these are the small little ways, that we as a museum, we are trying to our best to do to make it a bit more inclusive as well. So I think that's why there's a great partnership between the museum and what Access Path is doing right now. And of course, we are still in this very early stage. I mean, we do hope to reach out to make it even more accessible to even more groups in the future. Yeah. So, but maybe you can go back to Minbao. Maybe you can share a bit more about how do you prepare for this role to play Shan Shan? I mean, I think your portrayal is very accurate, very realistic of a person.
How do I prepare? I remember we went to the director's house and then we talked about, we discussed together with Hidayat on the background of the role, and then I decided that, this is a Malaysian. Okay, she works at as a admin executive. Came to Singapore for like 5-6 years already. So in a way, it's quite similar to what I really experienced, but characteristic-wise is quite different. But I do make connection through lines sometimes and through the content. For example, I remember Shan Shan said a line about to Hadi. She said that you are the one who make me feel at home here too. And then I really think of, it's actually the person here who make me feel at home here. The friendship and then the memories we create together. So there's quite a few touching moments. For example, the hawker center part. Shan Shan said that her mother and her didn't really meet because of COVID. And I can really feel that because it's really quite similar with what I'm experiencing now. So, yeah lor.
So you rely on your own personal memories as well.
Yes.
That's great to help you to do the character. Okay. So for you, so in working on this production, what stood out to you the most? What's the most memorable or fulfilling part?
Will be the character of Shan Shan. Because she as a foreigner, but nationality and language is not a barrier for her at all. Like she actively participating in activities, and she sings song with other people in the balcony, and then she even communicate with others with her broken English but full of confidence. So it reminded me of when we talk about sense of belongings. Actually, I feel that sense of belonging is really how a person truly establish a relationship with others, and also how to truly accepting himself as who he is with full of confidence. So so I think Shan Shan did remind me a lot, because I say characteristic-wise, we are quite different. I will hold back a bit all the time when, okay, I can't speak in your language, then maybe I just listen more. But Shan Shan is totally different. This is what I am. Yeah, I'm confident and happy to be who I am.
So the character is what struck you out as the
Yeah.
most. How about you, Hidayah? So what was the most fulfilling part of doing this performance for you, or meaningful?
Wow.
Quite a very heavy question.
Yeah. I guess everything itself.
The whole
Everything has been-
experience.
Sorry again?
The whole experience.
The whole experience, yes. The whole experience has been memorable and forgettable for me. You know, being able to really, you know, words really fail, sorry.
Don't worry.
Yeah, I mean, being able to really work and at the same time to be really have that sense of belonging. I know, not to only to someone, but to the country itself as well. Yeah, you know, because again, as what Min Pao say, it's the people that make us feel at home, and those people are where we are at or where they are at. So no matter where they are, where those people are, I am at home.
You're talking about us. we make you feel at home here at the museum. Is that your
Yes.
your declaration of love for us?
Yeah, familiar love, familiar love.
Aw, thank you.
Or with Grace's, the company, the access path. How about you, Grace? Then, what do you think is the most meaningful or fulfilling part of doing this performance for you?
I would have to agree with Hidayah. You know, it's like it is a process, you know, of putting everything together. So from our very first conversations together with the team at the National Museum, you know, about, you know, we have all these ideas. This great exhibition is happening, right? People don't realize, you know, sometimes the process the steps that it requires to even put something on, right? And all the pivoting and all the compromise and all the issues that, you know, we encounter. So from the very first meetings to seeing the exhibition, you know, we had the curators take us around and just getting to really know the content of the exhibition. It's a wonderful exhibition. And then dreaming up these characters, you know, then we were like, oh, and then I thought about Min Pao, you know, who I have a friendship with, and you know, and what she stands, and her journey, you know, acclimatizing in Singapore and contributing to Singapore as an educator, as a cultural worker, and then as Hidayah, you know, who works so hard in his own way to establish a professional presence in Singapore as well, you know, so. They informed the characters of Hadi and Shan Shan. Yeah. So it was actors first rather than characters.
Okay.
You know, like if I cast other actors, then it would have been a different kind of interpretation and response to the Home Truly exhibition.
Oh, okay.
Already.
Great.
Yeah.
So it's quite a collaborative effort, you would say.
Absolutely. And with our care facilitators, oh my
yes.
goodness, how we cannot forget them. They were absolutely wonderful. We trained them.
Yes.
We trained them in disability awareness. And we had a wonderful day, you know, unpacking what disability means and focusing on what pragmatic, tangible things that we can do as allies. So in this case, we worked on audio description, right? Because a barrier is clearly a visuality in a museum, right? So how can we overcome that? By being very verbally descriptive. So we did a workshop with the CAF facilitators. They were wonderful. And then I decided, you know what, you guys should be in the show because they are genuine. They are, you know, that energy that they bring. It's fresh, you know, and what they can do, actors cannot do.
Right.
That is the truth. People, you know. So I was like, they must be in the show, and they did, and you see that they were in all the right moments and sharing their own experiences as well. It's authentic, it's sincere, and I guess at the end of the day, this collaboration is powered by sincerity, really.
Yep. So It's what Grace mentioned. So the museum, we have a group of volunteers called the care facilitators, and we actually got Grace to train the to prepare them for this role to be involved in our production of working with visually impaired visitors. Because besides the Yours Truly performance, the museum also has other visually impaired programs that's meant for them. So, for example, we have like a smart cane initiative, where you can actually use this cane, and it will prompt and give navigation instructions. And it's meant for the visually impaired. So, we also have that for visitors. Right. So yeah. So our care facilitators are they don't only look after visitors with who are visually impaired. They also are involved in our senior programs, which is another whole category, and that's where they support us as well. Because as I mentioned, the museum we want it to be a very open and inclusive space for everyone. Okay, so we have one question for Grace from a viewer. So, what do you think was the biggest challenge that your team faced in creating this show, especially during this COVID period?
How was that? I mean, we live streamed
Grace.
it,
Yeah.
right? So from live theater, or the form of live theater, interacting with the audience, and how when it comes to visual impairment as well, being an element in the space, being tactile, being able to hear each other and sense each other in the space is actually really important. So we had to go from live being together in a space to live streaming it, so there's the technicality of that process, but I do feel like, I always again focus on here's a barrier, how can I overcome it? I always focus on what I can do, keeps things fresh. And with going online, like how we're meeting right now, I get to put in things like live captioning. And this work also stays forever. So those who cannot physically, with those perhaps with mobility issues, cannot physically come down to the theatre, now they can access this performance through the live stream. So again, focusing on, yes, it's a bit maybe painful to learn something new, to pivot, but with it comes, all these fresh new possibilities of accessibility. Yeah, and we embrace that.
How about from an actor's perspective? What was the biggest challenge for you? Maybe Hidayah? Like during this COVID period especially.
I would say really the audience reactions to every single moment of the play, because when we do live stream, we don't really able to sense their reaction at all. So we just really, for me myself, I give it my all. And after that, our take a look back, take a look at the playback and see the reaction that the audience give. Yeah.
But how about during the space when you don't get an audience feeding off you? Is it relying more on Min Pao?
Yeah, I have to rely on her 100%. Trust her, and of course we have to really, agree on certain like cues and so that I'm able to give my lines at the appropriate time. Correct, Min Pao? Yeah. So it was quite stressful, but it is a good stress. It is a good stress because I'm able to really slowly adapt, and I guess that's what Singapore is, being resilient, being able to adapt to new environment.
Yep.
That's part of acting, right? Two tracks of streams of consciousness that's happening. One, your character and all the things that you have to say. And on the other hand, all the cues that you have to do. Those two threads are happening at the same time. Yeah, so you did that. Well done.
Yeah, I think during the live performance, it was as well as the live stream performance when there was no audience. Yeah, I think great job, Hidayah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Min Pao, do you have the same challenge?
Yeah, without an audience, and then now the camera is an audience, it's the whole thing. But to be frank, for the past 1.5 years, I'm doing that already, so I'm already starting to yeah, be friend with the camera.
Actually, even for us at the museum, now we have to do more live stream. It's also, for us, we're also getting used to it. Yeah,
Yeah,
so now
lor.
we're a bit more comfortable with the camera as well. I mean, in
Indeed.
these times.
Now when there's audience, there's another different kind of feeling already.
Yeah, but I think it's overall, I think the benefit of this is that more people can view it, as what Grace
Yeah.
mentioned. It's more accessible, even more accessible now. Yeah, through this live stream, we actually added even the captions. And
Yeah.
that can cater to the deaf community.
Yeah.
There. So there's another group that the museum has not really focused on, but maybe in the future, that we might look into it. There's so many groups. Yeah, but I think it's a first step. It's all baby steps, right, for us to get there. Okay, so right now, it's already almost time. So I think we have one last question that each of you maybe could take turns answering. So with tomorrow being National Day, okay, so what is your wish for Singapore? So maybe Grace?
Oh,
You
I
want to
go
start?
first.
What's your wish for Singapore?
So my wish for Singapore is to really think about what it means to be inclusive and have that commitment towards this collective duty of care. We are all special and we all have different needs. So let's think about this idea that, the opposite of disable is not able. The opposite of disable is enable. So let's, roll up our sleeves and actually try to make this place really work so that all of us who are different can thrive.
Hidayah?
Wow.
Very
wish,
aspirational from Grace.
my wish is the same as Grace's wish, actually. To really be more inclusive. Look at a person not by what they have, but look at what they can do. Because, a person is judged by what their values or their character, rather than what they do not have. Yeah.
Yeah, great, Hidayah. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, I think it's something that we can all work towards for Singapore, not only, everyone.
Get to really know people.
Yes.
People are interesting and complex.
Yeah. Finally,
I realized that all of us, we have one focus is on, I need to speak this in Mandarin.
Okay, I'll translate.
以人为本，它还是回到人作为最基本的。你一个是一个大家都被尊重、被关心，还有被视为一个有血有肉的人的一个社会。
Yeah. So 以人为本, I guess it's really being person-centered, right? I think often we are very big picture-centered, but, let's go down to the individual. They are living, breathing people, flesh and blood and bone, right? And what else?
都是被尊重的，真的是他没有一个，他不是一个，他不管你的国籍，不管你的语言，不管你的宗教，不管你任何东西，就是我们新加坡誓约里面
Yes,
讲的那
let's
个
go back
东
to
西
the pledge and really, try to walk the talk, right? Regardless of race, language, religion, nationality, right? The respect that each individual deserves.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Go back to that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
so
translation.
You're welcome.
thank you, Grace, as well, for the translation.
That's supposed to be you. Your job.
Yeah, so so these are our wishes for Singapore. I think they're all very grand. And I think it's very achievable, in this day and age. In this day, I think it's just that everyone do our part, and I think we can slowly get there. It's not easy, but I think together, definitely as a country, we can get there. Okay, so so that's all the time we have for today. So thank you, Grace, Hidayah, and Minbao for being involved in this Yours Truly performance and for taking time, to come down and to do this dialogue session with our viewers. So for those of you who have not watched the Yours Truly performance, you can watch it, and it's on our NMS Facebook Live page. And if you're interested to visit the Home Truly special exhibition, it's free. You can come down to the museum anytime. You don't need to pre-book anything. Okay, you can just come down to the basement, and the Home Truly exhibition is there. And it has been recently extended, so it was supposed to end on the 29th of August, but it has been extended to 3rd of October. So it's even more time for all of you to come down and take a look at this special exhibition. We might be running some on-site performances, done the Yours Truly performance in the coming months. So do look out for that. We are still planning and looking at the guidelines, so look out for that. And lastly, okay, please fill in the feedback form. Okay, it should appear right now. Okay, so we really want to hear from you on how we can improve our programs, and we really want to hear your feedback. Okay. And lastly, if you'd like to be kept up to date with our latest programs from NMS, okay, you can follow us on Facebook or on Instagram. And lastly, thank you again, everyone, for tuning in and watching the performance and also this dialogue session. And we'd like to wish everyone a very happy National Day.
Happy National Day.
Happy National Day, everyone.